You're listening to the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, giving you an in-depth look at Missouri Western athletics with interviews, features, game broadcasts, and more. Here's your host, Tommy Rezach.
Oh my goodness, good evening everybody. What a great turnout here at Buffalo Wild Wings off North Belt Highway in St. Joseph, Missouri for our 2026 Griffin Football National Signing Day Social, special, whatever you want to call it. It's a special day, special week for this program as 44 new players in the boat for this program as they look toward a new season, the 57th season of this program. And I'm Tommy Rezant, your voice of the Griffins, Director of Broadcasting at Missouri Western State University. Again, we thank you all for coming out, and those of you listening at home on the Varsity Network app and at gogriffins.com/listen. And leading off in this program, it's about the third or fourth year in a row we've done a signing day social in this manner, in this format, and good to be here. A new location here this season, leading off with our head man, Tyler Fenwick. And Tyler, I'm sure you missed my dulcet tones these last couple of months. It's been about since November since we've done an on-air interview, but thanks for coming. Signing day, I know it's always kind of a sigh of relief. It's a big step every single year. It's a year-long effort, and I know you and your staff were hard at work, a lot of miles, a lot of phone calls. Just how do you feel just knowing that this is all behind you and now we can focus on the spring and what's to come this year?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and it started a long time ago, back in, I guess, May, probably, when we get back out on the road and start working on this class, and then you go through, gathering prospects and thousands of prospects that you're looking at, and all the coaches going out to different areas that they're responsible for, and then narrowing it down to, who we're trying to recruit that we like from a position standpoint. Coach St. Louis is our recruiting coordinator, and he's kind of the organizer of all of it and make sure that we're all doing what we're supposed to be doing and staying on task and holding us accountable and holding the coaches accountable and all that stuff. And, and it was challenging. This was probably the most challenging recruiting cycle that I've been through, just because of just all the different moving parts, dealing with, the portal and dealing with the fact that we needed to bring in some depth, and we needed to bring in some guys, some transfers that, I think we brought in 14.
Yeah, 16
transfers. That's more than I've ever brought in before. So that was, trying to identify all that, and you're kind of going back and forth between making sure you're recruiting your high school kids, making sure, you're recruiting your transfers, and you go through these waves of high school kids, and then your junior college transfers that you're looking at, and Division II portal kids, and then Division I portal kids, and it's just like this wave after wave after wave that you're continuously evaluating kids, and who's, is there a Division II kid that you like better than a JUCO kid? Yeah. Is there a Division I kid that all of a sudden you like better than, this and that? And so you're just always trying to compare and evaluate, and so it really makes it hard, and you're, it goes from May, but then you go through the season, and then you go, the season's over, and you jump right on the road recruiting, and then you kind of have a little bit of break with the Christmas break, but you really don't have much of a break because you're still contacting kids. I mean, you're still trying to stay. You're trying to wish them a Merry Christmas to make sure that that they get something from you. And so when it finally gets down to signing day, and we've been able to put together this class of, which I think honestly, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that we answered our questions, or at least we identified and we brought in transfers that we can use, but we also didn't lose the fact that we still want to develop kids, and we still brought in a good high school class. And so we're able to strategically, figure out how to do that and make it all work together in one class.
Absolutely. 27 signed right out of high school just today. 28 total signed today. That's 27 high schoolers, one JUCO product. 16 mid-year transfers that enrolled here this semester at Mo West. So again, 44 new players for the Griffs. That's 9 defensive backs, 9 linebackers, 7 offensive linemen, 7 defensive linemen, 6 receivers, 2 quarterbacks, 2 long snappers, and 1 punter. Of the transfers, 4 of them Division I, Of those freshmen I talked about, 6 of them had multiple Division I offers, and then 10 of our transfers coming from other Division II institutions. Mo West actually plucked 2 transfers from the MIAA, one from Pittsburgh State and one from Northwest. Diving into some of the guys, and we can get into the weeds here over the next hour or so. Obviously, offensive weapons. One guy that stands out, you talked about him at our press conference earlier, receiver Peyton Hatfield coming out of Lee Summit High School. And that may sound familiar. The Tigers just won a state championship in Class 6A at our own Spratt Stadium, the first year of hosting all classes of the Show Me Bowl State Championship. So pretty special that Peyton Hatfield, a 2-time All-State man as a returner from down the road. He's in the boat as a freshman. Cam Riley, a receiver out of Blue Springs South. And then one to be really excited about in terms of arm talent is quarterback Cole Slepecki out of esteemed program Bentonville, Arkansas, in Bentonville High School. He had offers from Central Oklahoma, Missouri Southern. All those D2s in Oklahoma were after him. So just a handful of the exciting youngsters that joined you offensively.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent in that group offensively. And you started with Peyton Hatfield, who's obviously down the road. And Coach Bell is he pretty much knows everybody in Kansas City, and he pretty much if there's somebody there, then he's got some kind of connection to him, some kind of relationship to him. And then obviously we were able to see him in the state championship game in our own stadium, and obviously he had a huge game. His brother had a huge game. They're twins. And
Preston's his brother.
Preston,
right?
yeah. And so. Peyton, but he can do so many things. I mean, they do so many things with him. I mean, they're playing him at running back, they're playing him at quarterback, and they're playing him at receiver, and his return ability is electric. And so I think that, having somebody that can make you miss and run away from people is always something. I think he's probably going to be a little bit similar to maybe Bryce Marcus that we have on our roster right now, who's been pretty electric for us. So quarterback-wise, that kid comes from a big-time program, Bentonville, Arkansas, and they're always, seems like they're always deep in the playoffs, or they're always winning a state championship. And I think they fell a little. I think he got hurt in the semifinal game, and I think they ended up losing.
That's right.
But gosh, I think the most impressive thing about him is. You look at his stats this year. He had 31 touchdowns and 1 interception. I mean, that's just unheard of. So when you have a guy that understands taking care of the football and throwing touchdowns at the same, that's always a good thing at quarterback. But he's a good-sized kid. I think that was when we saw him in person, it was like, oh man, he's a good-sized person, and he's going to continue to fill out and grow. And he can make all the throws, and so that's. I think that's that core right there that you're talking about is it's got a big playability.
And there was one running back, T.J. Crawford, that was added in this freshman class as well. And staying on the offensive side again, we're not advertising transfers quite as much this year, just due to the nature of things. Isn't it crazy? I just want to just briefly, like in the Division I, you have 15 days. That's your transfer window. Division II, it's open season, so in that standpoint, you have to be a little strategic about how much we put out there anymore, right?
It's, you work so hard. And I think the other thing, too, is signing day is, it's been so, recruiting high school kids and those transfers, they've kind of had their day.
Yeah.
And they're already here.
Right.
I mean, they're in our program. They're here. We've kind of done that with them, as far as, the committed graphics and all that stuff. And it's, let's make today about the high school kids and, as far as social media goes and all that stuff. But it's a crazy world that we live in right now as far as, the recruiting process and the portal and just all the things that, the availability to go get players at really pretty much almost any time.
And talking big picture a little bit, I've kind of had this thought ever since, watching the playoff and watching Indiana do what they do. I think any four-year school outside of the Power Four, we're all kind of in the same boat anymore, right? Like from mid-major FBS on down to NAIA, really the discrepancy of talent from that level to there, Division III, Division II, FCS, it's almost, I don't want to say one and the same, but really like a kid in the MIAA who's doing well, that's not to say he could go to some FBS or even a Power 4 school and do well. Yeah,
no, there's no doubt. It's, you see it all the time. You're seeing kids that are going from the MIAA and they're going, up to Division I or whatever. And vice versa. You're seeing guys that go from Division I and they're coming down to Division II.
Sure.
And I think there's a place for everybody. I think there's times where even at our at our level and at Division II, there's kids that we've had on our roster that say, you know what, I don't know that I can play in the MIAA. Sure. I just want to go be a starter somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, I think there's a place for the portal for kids to go do that. There's a lot of times where you hear about the kid that goes to Division I and he makes it. The kid, Chambliss from Ole Miss, who was at Ferris State.
Yes.
But there's so many of those kids that you don't hear about that end up going to Division I and they become backups or depth guys and don't really get that opportunity that some of those other guys do. So, the percentages will show you that it's a slim chance, that those things happen, but you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. We're up here with our head coach, Tyler Fenwick, on our 2026 National Signing Day Social from Buffalo Wild Wings here in St. Joseph. One more on the offensive side I want to ask you about, dipping into that transfer pool a little bit. You signed a quarterback out of former MIAA member, Lincoln University, kid by the name of Isaiah Tate, who, as I understand, his brother TJ has committed to us as well, coming out of Cordova, Tennessee. Now, Isaiah Tate, a quarterback, started D1 at North Alabama. We know there's some familiar faces there at North Alabama, particularly Josh Looney, Candy Whitaker, to name a couple. But Isaiah Tate, that's right. He's here too now. Wow, they poached a few Griffins over the years. But Isaiah Tate played the last couple years at Lincoln, played in 16 games there over the last 2 years. And anyone that's followed Mo West knows that Lincoln hasn't always had the most success, but they have since gone down to the GLVC. And Isaiah Tate, a guy who threw for 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, and he ran for 5 scores as well. So kind of a big dual-threat quarterback you guys were able to sign from a D2 within the state of Missouri.
He started out at North Alabama, and he's from Tennessee. And I think, I talked to Travis, who wasn't there at the time,
right?
But the head coach was there and gave us some good feedback on him, and they really liked him. And it just so turned out they brought in a couple transfer portal quarterbacks, and he just kind of saw the writing on the wall that I don't want to wait that long. And so he ended up at Lincoln and had a good career there. But studying his film and evaluating him and what he can bring, he's got a smooth release. He throws a good ball. He throws an accurate deep ball. Meeting with him on his recruiting visit, he's very heady. Football IQ is high. And he's just kind of very even keeled. Now, the thing that when you continue to watch the film, all of a sudden you see him take off and run, and he'll get the 40-yard gain and the 50-yard gain and all that stuff. But it's not something that he really highlights, but he can do it. So he wants to be a quarterback. He wants to be, he wants to be able to sit in the pocket and go through a progression. But when he has to, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of Armani in that regard. He's 6 foot. But he's a pocket quarterback that has the ability to move the chains.
Yeah, Armani Eden, who came in out of Hawaii in Coach Fenwick's first year, dual threat quarterback, all MIAA for the Griffs in 2023. So that's a pretty hardy comparison right there. And Isaiah Tate, that's the quarterback we're talking about. He played at Lincoln. His brother, TJ Tate, is a defensive back commit, transfer of Pittsburgh State. So a couple of brothers transferring from 2 Division II schools right in our region. So that's just an idea of some of the folks who transferred at semester, who enrolled here in the spring of 2026 here at Missouri Western. Briefly on defense, so to give you folks an idea how this will work, we'll talk offense and O-line with Todd Throckmorton. We'll talk defense in depth with Coach Johnson and special teams with Colin McQuillan. So we can talk with Erik a little more in the weeds on defense. But I don't know if people really realize that we just lost 11 guys from this past year who were starters or had started on defense. I mean, I heard you remark the other day, we had to replace our whole defense, and you see that. 9 linebackers, 9 DBs, 7 defensive linemen. Do you feel like you were able to address the needs on the defensive side?
Yeah, I hope so. We're going to find out in spring ball. But so far, I mean, they've been here for a week, 2 weeks, with Coach Fears and the strength staff, and so far they've stepped into the program in a positive way. We've got a lot of young guys that have been in our program that are growing and that haven't seen the field. But these guys have had some experience, and they've got some maturity, being at different places and seeing things and how things are supposed to look and all that stuff. And so they kind of bring a little bit of that to the program. So I think that bringing in and Coach Johnson will probably talk about them, but TJ Tate and John Pargo Jr. and Amon Walker Caleb Davis. I mean, that right there. I mean, we lost pretty much the whole secondary.
Yeah.
And so we had to bring in some guys that can build that depth and then also allow our young guys who we think are really good. I mean, we think that we've recruited some really, young, good freshman classes the last 3 years that, are now ready to kind of step into that role and compete as well. And so that's what you look at. You look at the depth at receiver, being able to bring in Vic Taylor and add another guy to the receiving core that, that's just those are things that you got to have. And because we ran into some things last year where we had some injuries and we just didn't have, we weren't able to replace those guys and two offensive linemen that we brought in, with all the injuries that we had, it would have been nice to have, a couple of those guys that have junior college playing experience. And the two that we brought in, Chase Tapp and Willie Dukes.
Yes.
Man, like they're two big human beings. You know what I mean? They're so, and they'll go through the off season and they're going to learn the playbook and get them reps in spring ball and then the same in fall camp and get them ready.
And you brought up another notable transfer, about several notable transfers, but one you have a history with is Victor Taylor, who was at Southeastern Oklahoma State. As I understand it, you probably recruited him to go to Southeastern. That is
I did.
Victor Taylor, out of Austin, Texas.
And he's a 10-600 guy. I mean, that's fast. I mean, that's blazing fast. And now he's got experience, and I think he's just a great character kid. He's a great personality. He's fun to talk to. He's very mature. And he was like that when we recruited him out of high school. It's one of the things I remember about sitting down with him coming out of high school. And I've always had a lot of respect for the way he works in practice. And he was just a redshirt for us. But and everybody that I've kind of talked to over the course of the years of them being with him just says nothing but great things about him. And so far he's come in and I mean, he's running with the fastest of them. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Again, Victor Taylor out of Southeastern Oklahoma State spent 3 years with the Savage Storm, recruited there by Tyler Fenwick when he was the head coach there at 2022 before joining us here at Mo West. And Vic Taylor, third team All-Great American Conference a couple years ago. Now he's a Griffin. So that alone is pretty exciting. And one more that you mentioned, that is Willie Dukes, 6'4", 340. That's a mountain of a man, a JUCO transfer out of California who has played 14 games over 2 years at the JUCO level. He's now a Griff. So I don't know if I'll mention all 44 by name, but I'm doing my darndest to make sure all of our new Griffs get some love here.
I see how you're cheating in the search bar there. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only. If you ain't cheating, you ain't winning, or something like that. You didn't hear that. But we're up here with Tyler Fenwick. Just a couple more things for you. You know, obviously, the feeling, walking off the field in November, what was hard, and you mentioned how you felt like this recruiting process was the most challenging. Obviously, the landscape of college football is different, but genuinely curious, we're not the only school, right, that had a hard season. How much does the conversation or the dynamic change with young folks when you are coming in sub 500 versus, hey, we're undefeated? Like, obviously, it's a harder pitch that alone, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does, but, I think when you bring recruits on campus, first of all, I think our coaching staff does an unbelievable job of just building relationships and staying connected with the recruits.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now you get them to campus, and I think once they get on campus and they see what we have, but then also interact with the people that are in our building, we make sure that they hear from Madeline Simmons and all the things that she does. They hear from Grayson Dudley and all the things that she does. They hear from, Coach Fears and the whole strength program and what we do with all the technology and all the nutrition and all the stuff that can help them develop. I think that it becomes I can be a part of turning this thing around, and so, and that's, and so then you go through this whole process of, especially with the transfers, because it's a quick turnaround with transfers. I mean, it's very quick. I mean, you're on them, and sometimes it's last minute, because you might think you're on a kid, and all of a sudden a Division I school comes in and just takes them away just like that, and you're thinking, where did that come from? So you're going on to the next kid, and all of a sudden there's another kid that you thought maybe you lost to a Division I school, and all of a sudden they dropped him, and all of a sudden he comes back in the boat, and then you're like, okay, let's get him on campus. And then we get him on campus, so from a transfer standpoint, how can I help right away? And then they realize, like, okay, all the things that have to happen, we got to get him into school within a week. We got to make sure he's eligible. We got to make sure we're getting him in classes. And so all the people that we have in place, all the support staff that helps with that, I mean, it's just, I don't know that there's don't know that there's many out there that have it like we have it as far as the people go.
Yeah, I would agree. Our Director of Compliance, Madeline Simmons, here. Dr. Zach Fears, Director of Strength and Conditioning, is here, along with Athletic Director Andy Carter. Good to see, as we look out, so many familiar faces, many of our Griffin coaching staff here as well. You kind of have the reputation of, being a program builder or a program turnarounder, if that's a word, taking S&T to 10 wins, Southeastern Oklahoma from 1 win to 9. We talked about this a little bit after the end of the season, but with the rules now what they are and the bit of a free-for-all that is now college football, and given some of the advantages we do have here in St. Joseph, is it easier or harder, do you think, to turn a program around in this era at this level?
It's hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know
hard,
what's
no
easier or harder, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Because you do have to have some continuity in that a little bit. I mean, you got to have a foundation so that when you do bring in these transfers, that they can jump in with, okay, this is what I'm jumping into, not different philosophies and coming from different directions. I mean, it's okay. This is who we are. This is what you're coming into. This is what we're going to do. This is how the weight room works. This is how, this is how our coaches are going to, take care of it. And so you have to have that every single day, and it's got to be consistent every single day, so that those kids that do come in, they can build a trust in you as fast as possible, which is not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure that, you do the things the right way, the way that, we believe in, treat people right, make sure that we serve our players in a sense where, we're making sure we're doing what's best for them, mentoring them, helping them, making them make, decisions, 18-year-old decisions, 22-year-old decisions, whatever that stuff is, that we can be there from that standpoint. And then hopefully you build a trust, and then we're working together at some point as coaching staff, as training staff, as strength staff, as, players, all working together, working in the same direction so that, we're on the same page on Saturdays.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan to me. And then talking to Saturdays, our schedule dropped this week. We'll play a couple Thursdays, which is not abnormal. The MIAA has done that in the past. We'll open on a Thursday, the last Thursday in August. We got Augustana in here, the Vikings who finished the season in the top 25. Augie for a Thursday night kickoff at 7 p.m. And then we'll go on a Thursday, September 3rd, to Walton Stadium to play Central Missouri. And then Saturday the 12th, we go to a town that you used to call home. We'll go to Rolla to play Missouri S&T bye week September 19th, and then get into our MIAA slate from there. But 5 home games, 3 of them at night. You got 3 teams that finished the season ranked, 2 of them that made the playoffs. I mean, I tell people all the time, and I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but it's like, we're not playing Lincoln anymore. We're not playing old Northeastern State. Schedule's harder now. I think the schedule has gotten harder in the MIAA. Just thoughts on that 2026 slate?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the MIAA, we all know the MIAA is, it's a week in, week out battle. I mean, we know that. We scheduled Augustana, which is a 9-2 team that didn't make the playoffs somehow.
Yeah.
S&T had a winning season this year. So yeah, I mean, that's, that's what you're asking for. I mean, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go play good teams. You want to be challenged.
Yep.
We're playing some top-ranked teams, and that's bring it on. I mean, that's kind of, we got to get them ready. I mean, at the end of the day, that's our job. We got to get them ready. We got to have the right people in here, and I think, we're heading in that direction, and I think we have the right people, and it's our job now to prepare them for August. And it seems like it's a long way away, but there's a lot of work to do between now and then.
Well, it is a long way away, but, in like 5.5 months, the Chiefs will pull into town, and you look, it's like, okay, here we go again. And then in late August, we'll be at Spratt Stadium for a home opener under the lights against Augustana, a team that we were so close to knocking off on the road. We know Augie has developed a great reputation of making the postseason. And we go to Pittsburgh. We get Northwest at home for homecoming, or Northwest at home for Senior Day. We host Nebraska Kearney for homecoming. We go to Washburn this year. Haven't been there in a few years. And we end the regular season at Central Oklahoma. Haven't been there in a couple years either. So the full schedule available at GoGriffins.com, as is complete information on this 2026 Griffin signing class. The folks that we signed, they're on these television screens, this big one behind us, and a couple other little screens around the dining room here, so you can kind of get a look, at least some attributes and some film of these 44 kids that Coach Fenwick and his staff have worked so hard throughout the year to sign. So Coach, we're all hopeful for some good days, some better days ahead. Congratulations on this achievement. I always feel like 44 kids, to get them to commit to you when there's all these distractions and all these other places and choices of things. This is an achievement. So congrats to your staff, and thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. I think you'll enjoy hearing from these guys because they spent a lot, probably more time than I did recruiting them, and they probably got some pretty good stories, recruiting stories, and all that stuff. So thanks, Tommy.
Yeah, looking forward to it. There's Tyler Fenwick, our head coach, getting ready for his 4th season as our leader of Griffin football. So we appreciate him leading off a wide-ranging conversation over the last 20 or so minutes. But more to come. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll go in this order: offense, defense, special teams. Todd Throckmorton up next, followed by Erik Johnson and Colin McQuillan. We'll be with you for the next 30 minutes or so from Buffalo Wild Wings in St. Joseph, and you're listening to the National Signing Day Special on the Griffin Sports Network. Continuing coverage of National Signing Day, our 2026 Signing Day Special from Buffalo Wild Wings in St. Joseph. I want to give a big shout out to their general manager, Jared, and all of the staff for accommodating us Griffins here in the black and gold, taking over here on a Wednesday night as we continue unfolding. Again, 44 players in the boat, and we talk offensive line and offense at large with Todd Throckmorton getting ready for his 4th season of his current stint as our offensive coordinator of Mo West football. I think it's coming on 21 or 22 years with
Correct.
us on the Griffin coaching staff. So, Throck, thanks for coming up. Well, starting with your position group, offensive line, 7 O-line added up there, 5 of them freshmen. Now, between portal and graduation, I think it was 4 or 5 offensive linemen that departed from last year's team. We know that we were a little thin there at the end of the year between injuries and other things up front. What did you feel like you needed to address, and how do you think you did so in this class?
Yeah, we felt with the good thing with the injuries, at least most of those kids that had the injuries did have surgery, and they're right on track. But 4 of them are still out right now, and 3 of them will still miss spring football. But hopefully, we will have them all healthy for the fall.
Good.
But you're always nervous a little bit about that, so you're like, well, we need to get a couple transfers for sure, and hopefully we could get a tackle on a guard, and that's what we projected, and we were able to do that. We were able to get Chase Tapp from Kilgore College as an offensive tackle. And he's originally from Missouri. He's down from the Boot Hill, and he signed and went to Tennessee State out of high school, and then ended up leaving there. Just really didn't have a great experience, and went to Kilgore and did a nice job. Ended up starting at left tackle at Kilgore, and he's got really good feet, and he's got really good toughness, and I just think he's going to be a really great addition, adding to our offensive line as an offensive tackle with Chase Tapp from Kilgore College. And then for offensive guard, we were able to get Willie Dukes, and he's from Cerritos College. And, man, when we watched his film, and I know I ranked him as, one of the top offensive guards, on the junior college list, just because he was so explosive with his pop. I mean, when he strikes people, they go the other direction. And he's a huge man. I remember when he sent in his measurements for Coach Ventura to, game pants, he put like 4X. And Coach Ventura's like, Coach, we don't have 4X. 3X is the biggest, so he's going to have to fit in that. But he's a huge man, but he's an athletic offensive guard. He can pull, he can move. And he's just such a pleasant young man. That's what I was even more impressed with. Of just you ask these recruits to get stuff done, and then boom, he'd be on it and get it in, get his transcript, apply to school, all those things. And so he's a real pleaser, and I'm glad. And Chase is that way too. So it's nice when you get a transfer student, and man, they follow through and get stuff done when you ask them to do stuff. That was very refreshing with both those young men, and their talent, is matching what we're looking for, that they can come in here and have a chance to challenge and hopefully earn a starting position in our O-line at Missouri Western.
Well, those are probably the 2 names that have come up the most so far, is Willie Dukes and Chase Tapp. And I feel like behind who's playing quarterback, the second most common question on signing day is, well, what kind of size did you add? Well, they added some here. Willie Dukes, the JUCO transfer out of California at offensive line at 6'4", 340 pounds. And then the other one, Chase Tapp from Malden, Missouri, who started D1 at Tennessee State, 6'3", 305. So that's some pretty good beef to be adding on the pipeline. And then one of them immediately local on that offensive line, probably the most immediately local signee this year, is Brody Huff from Riverside High School there in Wathena, a kid that was All-State, helped lead Riverside to one of their better seasons in a while. They were 8-3 this past year. He stands 6'2", 285. Just thoughts on Brody's recruitment from right over the river.
Yeah, Brody's a very physical young man that could go both ways, playing O-line and D-line. He started at right guard and was just, again, impressed with how physical he was in run blocking, but also he could pull and move. And get out there on the perimeter and fit up people at second level. And so definitely excited to get Brody. Really feel he's going to be a talented young offensive lineman developing in our group. And again, just really, please, we always talk about how we're always evaluating young men, but when he came on his visit and just how he carried himself, how he paid attention, when you do the X and O meeting and, talk about our scheme and how I coach and all those things. I mean, he was just, looking in the eye, and you just really appreciate those young men that are attentive and want to learn and ask good questions, and then they have the talent, on film. So yes, we're very excited to get Brody, and he's going to be a really strong addition to us from over at Riverside.
Yeah, Brody Huff, a former Cyclone who earned principal honors at Riverside for GPA and attendance. So you're getting a guy that is pretty good between the ears and on the football field as well. One talent position I didn't get to talk with Coach Fenwick about is the lone running back you guys had from Moore, Oklahoma, Taylor T.J. Bradford, who had an unbelievable prep career, over 4,500 career rushing yards, school record 54 touchdowns, All-State this past year, and carried a 3.3 GPA. We know there's another area where we have some up-and-coming talent, but we just said goodbye to a couple of seniors in Brandon Hall and also Morrell Fountain and Jaden Williams. So missing some veteran talent there, but looks like you guys added a bright youngster there at running back.
We did. He definitely was ranked up high on our board, and we brought him in on an early visit because of that, and we were able to get a fairly early commitment out of him in December, and so we were excited we were able to hold that commitment and feel he's a guy that can do it all. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can make people miss on, second and third level with linebackers and DBs, and he's got the breakaway speed that can, turn it into a home run touchdown for us. So we feel he checked all the boxes and has all those things to be that explosive running back in the MIAA. So we're really excited to get him, and we had some talented running backs on the board, and that was exciting to get him that we really had rated high. Brought him in early and got him to commit early. So we were excited to get one of our top running backs, and he'll do a great job transitioning from Oklahoma, coming to Missouri and Missouri Western and MIAA. And then we do have some good young freshmen. I am excited about Jalen Dixon,
Yes.
who he got to play in a few games, the kind of 4-game and red shirt, and still has his 4 years eligibility. And he, had a kickoff return for touchdown last year for us, and he's just such a tremendous kid, so coachable. He's already working to be a leader, even as a freshman, and just, always has a smile on his face, always wanting to work hard, and he's a talented kid too. So we're hoping he can kind of fill those shoes. Those are big shoes to fill Brandon Hall, because he was a talented running back, but we do think there's a lot of similarities between Dixon and B. Hall. So we're excited about that. And then, Sincere's another kid that we redshirted and developed, and he's been in the program, and we're really expecting good things out of him. And he's strong in the weight room, and he's probably the best blocker, when you got to block and pass protection.
Yeah.
So we got some guys that we feel have been in the program that should be able to help too, at that running back position, even though we lost some talented guys.
Yeah, Sincere Thompson, I remember him getting in sparingly last year. Jalen Dixon, who we heard his highlight earlier, 96-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against Central Missouri. Best of both worlds. He gets that play, and he gets to retain that red shirt. That's an excellent feeling. And there are 3 men, Coach, that have rushed for 3,000+ in Griffin football history. I'm sure you have an idea. It's Michael Hill, Raphael Spencer, and Brandon Hall. I mean, that's pretty special company right there. Talking with offensive coordinator, O-line coach Todd Throckmorton on this part of our National Signing Day special on the Griffin Sports Network. And talking of other guys coming back, I think receiver, you actually look there and go, that's an area where we had so many new faces last year, but Crew Myers, Bryce Marcus, Malik Moore all back, but 6 receivers just added in this class, 5 of whom are freshmen. One that catches my eye is a guy by the name of Manny Ellison out of the state of Texas. He had lots of Division I offers thrown his way. Tyron Williams from the Show Me State in Wentzville just played in the Blue-Gray All-American Bowl as a receiver. Hearing Coach Fenwick talk a little bit, 2 guys out of Kansas City added at receiver as well. I could sense it in his voice. There's some speedsters in that receiver group now.
There really is, and we're adding guys that are explosive, that can make people miss, and then have that breakaway speed to turn into that explosive touchdown. So Tyron's a young man that was in my recruiting area, so I was kind of his recruiting coach until turned it over to Coach Bell. And I remember seeing him in spring football doing practice, and I could just see how smooth he was. And he was going both ways, playing receiver and corner. And it was just nice watching him with hips. And I'll tell you, he has a highlight that's pretty incredible. That I don't know if I'll ever witness it again. But he was they were playing a team, and it was a tie game, 21-21, and the opponent tries to do a Hail Mary for with 4 seconds on the clock. He intercepts it, all right, in the end zone, runs it all the way back, 105-yard, pick six interception, walk-off touchdown.
Oh, my Lord.
And made about 6 guys miss for him to get that done. But so then he started doing his offensive skills once he intercepted the ball. But now he's a talented young man. I know getting Peyton, the twin out of Kansas City, his brother is going to Mizzou. Man, he's a really explosive kid. So there's no doubt that we're really adding some explosive speed. And then we got a lot of those receivers back that were young last year that we know those guys are going to get better. Krummeyer, Bryce, Malik, all those guys, Isaac, Kadab,
Yep.
Isaac's getting better. So we just got to keep getting those guys getting better, add these young talent to it. But there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to field a very explosive wide receiver core for 2026.
Well, I'm thinking about our tight end room, too. We get Michael Haggerty back again, and then Bryce Page, who had his first career touchdown this past season, so definitely some things to like. And Peyton Hatfield, who you brought up, whose twin brother Preston is going to be a Missouri Tiger, but Peyton Hatfield, 2-time All-State as a returner. So I'll be curious to get Coach McQuillan's thoughts on maybe Peyton Hatfield's role in the special teams. But a kid out of Lee Summit who won the state title right here at home at Spratt Stadium. I guess you're one guy I haven't asked about that. What was that like, just hosting? I mean, our stadium was full and the atmosphere was unbelievable. It helped to have Worth County and Rockport and Platte County in there. What was your experience at taking that in? Yeah,
that was exciting. It was exciting to see, and I think I didn't hear anything but just excellent reviews of the hospitality that Missouri Western was providing, but also just having that intimate setting and the crowd being full and being that close to the field, and it was just exciting football. And like you said, for the most part, I mean, it was really good football games that some of them are going to overtime, other them are all one-score games, and they're kind of going to the last play. And so it was a lot of fun, and it was fun to see, and it was fun to see Spratt packed with that and have that enthusiasm. And I think I think we got a 5-year contract, and I think we'll definitely keep that rolling. And that was fun to have those championship games on campus at Missouri Western.
Yeah, had a lot of help there from Misha and the folks at the St. Joseph Sports Commission. Our friend Brett Easley, a big part of getting that going as well. I guess just last thing for you, we always talk about your longevity and the number of stints you've done. I mean, you've seen a lot of things in those 2 decades combined. You've seen the highest of highs and some lows as well. I guess I'm just curious, just given your background and your experience at this place, I know we're itching to right the ship, working every waking minute to get where we want to be. I guess, how does your experience with this staff maybe just compare to other years? And when you watch the work ethic of this group, I mean, what gives you optimism as we look here to 2026?
Well, we have such a talented group, and we work so well together, and there's no question that, we're not leaving any stone unturned, and we're, coaching those young men up, and there's no doubt that Coach Fenwick knows how to build a program, and he's proven that. And he's a tremendous person, but he's a tremendous football coach, and we just got a talented staff. And again, we have to do better than what we did last year, that's for sure. But last year's over. We're going to learn from that, and we're going to get these players better. We're going to coach them better. All right, we're improving our roster with our recruiting, and we're going to have that attention to detail. And we got a great staff that works well together, and I'm very confident that we will get this back winning those games and going there and competing for a conference championship like we were able to do and win back when Coach Fenwick was the OC and I was the O-line coach here in 2012. So I have no doubt about that, and we got a great group of young men, like I said, are working hard, and we just got to make sure we don't do things to beat ourselves. We have to do the little things right, and we have to be consistent. And when you got an opportunity to make a play, you got to go make a play, and we got to put our players in position to get that done. So it's an aspect of everyone getting better, right, from coaching to players to roster, and that's all happening. And there's no doubt we have the staff here, and we have the players here, and we just got to go get it done, and I feel very confident we will get it done.
Well, I've been on the record saying since you guys came here that the ties that bind this group together, you got former Griffins in Michael Gallo, Coach St. Louis, who have been here a while now, and you, Coach McQuillan, Coach Bell, on multiple different stints of being Griffin coaches. So I know there's not a more passionate group that cares about Griffin football than this crew. And, I know we're all just itching. I mean, spring football starts in about a month and a half, March the 23rd. So that's one thing to look forward to. You have the spring game weekend falling on April the 24th, and then we'll be waiting all day for the season opener on August this year, Thursday, August 27th at 7 against Augustana. So just some days to think about, to mark on your calendar as our next season of Griffin football coming sooner than later. Todd Throckmorton, thanks for the time. Always good to see you, and take care. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it.
There you go. Todd Throckmorton, your offensive coordinator and O-line coach. Over 2 decades worth of service to Griffin football and the university, and we appreciate his knowledge and expertise. We'll take a break, and we'll welcome on our defensive coordinator, Erik Johnson. We said it at the top of the show. This was a side of the ball that lost some really good players from graduation, and yes, a handful of the transfer portal. That's just the world we live in now, but defense signed a ton of promising talent here this past year. Erik Johnson will discuss it with us next on the Signing Day special here on the Griffin Sports Network. Continuing coverage of 2026 National Signing Day for Griffin football, I'm Tommy Rezach, live from Buffalo Wild Wings in St. Joseph. A great day, great night, great turnout as we talk about 44 new Griffins, and a good chunk of them on the defensive side of the ball. Here to talk about it, getting ready for his 4th year with us as the defensive coordinator, Erik Johnson. And Coach, I know you probably caught some of that conversation with me and Coach Fenwick, where literally 11 guys who either were regular starters or starting experience on defense gone from last year, but 24 defensive players signed between your transfers and your freshmen, with 9 defensive backs, 9 linebackers, 7 defensive linemen. Obviously some needs to address, especially with secondary. You know, we lose Des Green, Logan Clark, Cameron Lee, Nick Oliver. That's a veteran group that we just lost there. So starting with the secondary, we signed a bunch of DBs last year, bunch more this year. Just how do you feel about the defensive backfield?
I really like it. It's a good group, and it's got a mix of different styles of players, which we kind of need to kind of keep that flexibility in what we're trying to do. And so we got some good players. We've got kids that have some length. We've got kids that are kind of those headhunter guys that kind of roam around the middle and are going to make you pay if you cross the middle. We've got, a quicker, true man-to-man type corner. So I think we did a really good job getting in a bunch of guys. Really look for intelligence. Because when you're bringing in guys and expecting them to kind of step in and have a role, they've got to be ready to play, and they're going to have to do it in a short time. And so we think we got smart players that are going to come in and have the athletic ability already. Now it's just picking up the scheme this spring and then perfecting it over the summer and get ready to go in the fall.
Just to name a couple of them, these are ones that got me excited from that pool of transfers. A safety from Fort Lewis, a Division II in Colorado, Caleb Davis, who was an all-RMAC performer a couple years ago for Fort Lewis College. Amon Walker, who Coach Fenwick mentioned briefly, a corner who spent time at Indiana State and most recently a standout at Bemidji State. So those are 2 guys, standout guys, who have played a ton of football at the NCAA Division II level that will now be sporting a black and gold uniform. So many exciting athletes that we added, whether they be freshmen or transfers. Defensive line, we've seen, I think about how spoiled we've been up front on D-line, from C.J. Ravenel to Brandon Johnson to Dakari Streeter, Grant Finley. We've had some just great guys, great leaders the last few years, and now we had to say goodbye to guys like Marvin Gant, Trey Nesbitt, the aforementioned Grant Finley. I count 6 freshman defensive line added, just to name a few. Jaden Fletcher out of Newcastle, Oklahoma at defensive end. Devin Foster from not far off from Lawrence High School in the state of Kansas. Julian Grundy. Talked about Bentonville, Arkansas. Grundy is a defensive end from Bentonville High School who had a ton of Division II offers. And then someone from my home city, Parker Johnson, out of Lincoln, Nebraska, a walk-on defensive end. A young group, but you added some beef up front on the defensive line of scrimmage.
Yeah, we really, really like it. I think Coach Gallo, who's been really working his tail off to recruit this class, this is probably the most excited I've been about a young group of guys, just in terms of we have numbers, and then we also have different body types. And so we've got length in there, and probably a little bit more length than last year. I think last year we get a little bit beefier guys that are probably already 280 plus. These guys are a little bit taller that have the frames to get bigger, but they have a little bit more athleticism. So it's a good combination when we start to develop these young guys. They're going to kind of be able to step in and play a role here in the next couple of years. These last two classes kind of have a variety of different guys, but we're really excited. I'm really excited about this young freshman class. There's some tough ones. Your kid from Lincoln there, he's got a motor. He may be a walk-on, but it's just got to get a little bigger and stronger. But that kid's got a motor. He'll get after it.
His name is Parker Johnson, and he comes out of Lincoln East High School, home of the Spartans, 6'2", 235. He was a captain for that team. That's Class A, the highest level of football in the Cornhusker State. Lincoln Journal-Star, All-City. Honorable mention. Was a varsity letter winner the last 3 years, so spot on right there. Talking with Erik Johnson, our defensive coordinator. Linebacker, plenty of those too. 9 added in this class. 5 of them are freshmen. Now, that's another group where you look around and you go, man, Drew Scott, Brecken Manis, a couple of guys we'll have to do without. Keenan Gaskin, who got sidelined early last year. We're kind of waiting to see if he's able to come back or not. But one guy that's really exciting out of Tennessee, Jaden Pyatt, true freshman. He had several Division I offers. He's in the boat as a linebacker. Ranya Toombs out of Lee Summit West, another local guy. And then several transfers as well with a ton of playing experience.
Absolutely. I mean, both Coach McQuillan and Coach Sanders did a great job, both at the transfer level and as well as at the with the freshmen. And that freshman class is got everything you could possibly want. They've got size, they've got frame, they've got versatility in our 3-4 scheme. Most of those guys can play at least 3 of those positions, whether they're more of an outside guy that can drop into coverage or they can also be pass rushers. That Pyatt kid that you're talking about out of Tennessee, he's probably one of the best blitzing linebackers I've seen in a long time. That Ranya Toombs kid, he's just going to get better and better. I got to see him play live and listen to his coaches talk to him, and just a high IQ kid with a freak frame, and is just going to be a heck of a player. And the whole group is just a really, really good group with a lot of versatility, and so we're excited about that group.
Just kind of looking at a 30,000-foot view here. For a while there, one thing our defense was doing pretty well at was stopping the run. For much of the year, we were about top 2 or 3 in the league in stopping the run. But that being said, I know the last couple games in November, no doubt probably left a sour taste due to injuries and other things. And, Coach Fenwick and I have talked about how after a year like we've had, you look at everything, you turn over every stone. Just on that defensive side, what has been your evaluation, and do you feel like you were able to address some immediate needs here?
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy as a coordinator or whatever to look back after you've had some struggles and just sit there and point fingers at players. But we had good players. I didn't do a good enough job preparing us. We had spurts where we played good defense, especially versus the run, and we just, for whatever reason, things got away from us, and that's kind of what I'm into. We've been recruiting so hard that the evaluation of the season's been kind of not necessarily put aside, but I kind of do it sporadically. I'll do it for a day or two, but I got to keep my focus on the recruiting side. And so it's been really good the last 2 weeks as things have kind of slowed down just a little bit to kind of dive in. And I just spent the last 3 days studying all third down stuff because we weren't very good on third down, and trying to take a look at things and, just trying to, going at it with an open mind. We're going to have so many new players. We've got to simplify things just because we have new players that we're going to expect to play. So that I think will help a little bit. I think probably I was a little too excited with the veteran group last year and probably asked them to do a little too much, and we were thinking a little bit more than we needed to be, as opposed to just playing fast and doing what we do. So I put our kids in some bad spots last year, and we're definitely going to rectify that and get back after it. I know a couple years ago when I first got here, we were getting after the quarterback and sacking him all the time. We've always been pretty good versus the run, and this last year we just weren't very good versus the pass, and we weren't very good on third down. So we got to do better in those jobs specifically. Those are the ones I can tell you right now. We got to do a better job.
Yeah, well said. And I know just right off the bat that you devote a lot of hours to this, because it was, I think last year I heard murmurs of Coach Johnson has a mattress in his office or something like that. So I know you spend a lot of long nights evaluating this whole thing. And you were on the field this past year. How'd you like that?
Well, I mean, I loved it, but it obviously didn't produce the results. So maybe I was the problem. Maybe I need to go back up in the box. I don't know. But no, I enjoy it. I like it. You get a feel for the team. You get a feel for the pulse of what's going on that you don't get in the box. And so it's just really good for me to kind of interact. And, as Coach Sanders has developed as a linebacker coach, and I've been able to kind of give him that room a little bit, I've been able to kind of, be around the other position groups a little bit more than maybe I was my first 2 years, and then being out on the field. But this was my first year seeing some of those other guys, kind of how they are in the field and how they're reacting coming off the field, and then just kind of picking their brains. We got smart kids, so what are they seeing out there that I'm maybe missing up top, or what's going on? Maybe they got a feel versus a certain player that we can take advantage of that's maybe not just showing up when I'm up there at the top. So I rely on our players, I rely on our coaches, but I really enjoyed it. Bottom line, we got to win football games. So if being up top is what we got to do to win, I'll be up top. If being on the field is the best for us to win, I'll be on the field.
Well, I know for sure if you're up top, you're pounding some Coke Zeros. I remember that. How many can you put down in a game?
Oh, in a game, I don't know. Quite a few, but it didn't really matter whether I was in the box or on the field. I had 4 leaders on the field too, so just hit them behind the training table. So,
wow, well, you're a braver man than I, Coach Johnson, but whatever it takes at this point. I don't think I've ever seen so much nicotine and Coke Zero in a single small area than I'd look over at your booth next door.
I'm a simple man. I got very few vices, but the ones I have, I'm fully after. So.
I appreciate that honesty, Coach. Always a pleasure. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate it.
There you go. Defensive coordinator Erik Johnson. I had to ask about the Coke Zero. I mean, my goodness, what a machine that guy is. I love it. I love the intensity. All right, we'll take a break. Our final segment coming up. We'll talk special teams and a guy that also has some experience with the defense, coaching outside linebackers, Colin McQuillan. He's also the camp coordinator for Mo West, and we got a full slate of camps coming up this year. We'll talk about that as well. It's the Griffin Football National Signing Day Special from Buffalo Wild Wings on the Griffin Sports Network. Well, we got 2 of the 3 McQuillan gang up here for our final segment of the National Signing Day Special. Our special teams coordinator, Colin McQuillan, daughter Meyer, alongside. Thanks for being up here, you two. We sure appreciate it, Colin. Let's talk some special teams now. Now, kind of a unique class in the sense that we signed 2 long snappers. You get a transfer punter. Now, no kickers, but after what Latrell Armstrong did as a freshman last year, bombing a 50-yard field goal, coming in late in the year and doing some good things, I think we feel pretty good about what we have at kicker. Mason Grove, our touchback machine who gets us going the right way. So, but thoughts on these 3 specialists that you just brought in?
No, these incoming guys we're really excited about. We knew as far as where we were kicking-wise that we were going to be pretty secure. Now, when Latrell played his 4 games as a redshirt, going to come back still as 4 years, feel like that's going to be a lock for the next couple of years, and we know he's going to need some competition, which is going to be great. Still trying to bring in a high school guy that's going to be able to compete with him and see what's going to happen. But as far as the 3 transfers that came in, punter-wise, Tom Troth's going to be the only one still on roster going in the spring, so it was imperative for us to bring in a mid-year guy to compete with Tom. And if you don't know much about Tom, you need to find out more about Tom because he's an outstanding not only punter but then a great student athlete.
Yeah.
Does a great job in the classroom. He actually came with me from Graceland where I was before Missouri Western. Punted for me up there, did a great job. Australian rugby style kicker.
Love it.
And he's somebody that we know that we can develop and continue to grow, but brought in Matthew Slajajis, and we know that he's going to be able to compete with him. And we're excited about him.
How do you pronounce Matthew's name?
I probably messed it up. We call him Slodge.
Matthew Slajowski?
Slajowski.
Freshman of Temecula, California.
We gave him the nickname the Slodge, but that's just because he was from California. He was on the East Coast, and now he's found his home in the Midwest with us. But excited about him. Just a big left-footed punter, which is going to be something that's also dramatic for us. Change it up a little bit. Excited about that. Just have a little bit of change up, but. He's going to compete there with Tom this spring. We knew bringing in a guy during the spring semester was going to be huge. Get those guys a lot of reps, get them on the field, and see what's going to happen, and we're excited about that guy for sure.
Yeah, Matthew Slajowski, 6'2", 240. Yeah, he is a big punter with some power out of Temecula, California. Played at Division II American International College. Played in 9 games there, average about 35 yards a punt, 3 punts of 50 yards or more. With the departure of Spencer Springer, we'll have a new punter. I mean, we had a Scottish punter in Evan Williams a couple years ago. He was a rugby-style kicker, so I guess it's a pattern with our program. And here's an in-depth question for you. Tyson Lucas, who is going to still be in the area working with the St. Joseph Goats, he's been our holder the last couple of years. Who's going to be our new holder on field goals this year?
That's what actually Coach Winter might have to come up here and talk about who our holder is going to be. So I don't want to put him on the spot. But we've been working some guys this past semester. Crew Meyer is up there who's doing a little bit practicing this past season. But then you always hope to get either an offensive skill guy out there, hopefully not being a specialist, just so we're a little bit more dynamic of what we can do field goal fake-wise, extra point fake-wise. But we've got some answers coming up for spring and the next fall.
Now, long snapper, we kind of had to make a change there middle of the year. Aiden Monzon came in and honestly did a pretty good job, but you sign an Indiana State transfer at long snapper, Joseph Sopiars. Now I'm butchering names. That was one, and then there was a freshman long snapper that you signed as well, whose name is escaping me. But
Dylan Hall.
Yeah, Dylan Hall, thank you. Just talk about the need at that position.
No. So just like we've talked about, competition is going to be huge this spring. So that was a big reason to bring in Joey. So Joey's just going to have 1 year left. He's a grad transfer from Indiana State. Probably one of the best transfers we got coming in that had the experience at the next level, has done things at the highest level, and is now coming down here to finish his grad and then play for us this next spring and then fall as it's compete with Monzon this spring. So, again, same thing. Had one punter, wanted to get 2 punters, had 1 long snapper for the spring, one had 2 long snappers for the spring. This way those guys are competing for a job going into the fall and not just being complacent. And that was huge for not only just those 2 guys but the whole specialist room. And so bringing in Joey's going to be huge. And then knowing that Joey's going to graduate in the fall, Dylan Hall was our number 1 long snapper from pretty much this time last year. You talk about camps a little bit. We had our specialist camp last year. He was actually there out of Colorado. Excited about him. Love his family. Came for an official visit not too long ago. Had his family in town. His brother plays baseball over at Quincy. So small world. They were able to come in through, and then they went over to Quincy to see them. But really excited about him for his future kind of going through. Monzon, then, I'll give him a huge shout out. Just what he does academically. He's actually on pace to graduate early. So he's only played 1 year this fall, was a redshirt the previous year. He's supposed to graduate with his undergrad next spring. He's a business major. He's trying to get the franchise won upon him from the Steve Craig business.
Wow.
So we might actually lose him next spring, which is something we got to be prepared for as well. So something you don't think about like semester to semester, but long term is something that we're hoping to see what happens just after this fall.
Yeah, Dylan Hall, the true freshman at long snapper from Superior, Colorado, was a outstanding academic student, but he was a perfect, I read this stat, 25 of 25 on field goal and point after attempts on snaps. We saw a couple of games where botched snaps can, not us, but opponents, where botched snaps can really make a difference in a game. I think about Pittsburgh State when we played them. That was a botched snap that ended up as a fumble recovery for us on a field goal try. So that's just an example. And then, again, Joe Sopiars from Carroll Stream, Illinois, out of Division I Indiana State. Had spent about 3 or 4 years there. Didn't play a ton, but still has that experience of practicing in a D1 program. And Joe Sopiars from a very athletic family. His father, Joe, competed on the Northern Illinois hockey team. So that's kind of a neat little wrinkle about him.
You really dug deep on that one, Tommy.
Man, I tell you what. So with these bios, which you can go read it, by the way, at GoGriffins.com, all of our freshman signees, you can read about them. I prep for this as if I prep for a game. I scour the internet, any hometown newspaper. You can learn a lot about looking at a kid's X or Instagram anymore about, I broke the record at this game or this time. So, no, believe me, I moved heaven and earth to find some bios.
No, that sounds about right. That
yeah.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate what you do with that.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad I could help in any small way. One guy that's come up a lot I wanted to ask you about, and I know Aaron Bell deals with kick return a bit, but when you bring in a guy from just down the road at Lee's Summit, Peyton Hatfield, who was 2-time All-State in the return game, how much are you rubbing your mitts together to maybe get him involved in that way?
It's dynamic. We were actually talking about that earlier today when we were at lunch. Because Crew coming back was a third-team all-conference returner, which we're excited about here.
Punt return.
Yes,
yep.
a punt return.
Yep.
So that's somebody that's going to compete with him. But then at kickoff return,
Dixon.
if you don't think of exactly. See, that's something we see. We only played him in 4 games, but he was the only one in the conference that had a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Correct.
So you can throw that stat out there, and he is coming back. And then you put Hatfield there with him. You have 2 dynamic guys, which as me as a kickoff guy, I'm always afraid to kick it to one guy, but then where are you going to kick it when there's 2 guys back there? But no, his ability to just be dynamic in the return game is something that we're excited about. And exactly, we talked about that earlier today at lunch, me and Coach Bell, and excited about the possibility of him getting back there and, being a freshman of the year returner, maybe.
Love that. Well, Jalen Dixon's moment, which we talked about earlier, from Klein Cain High School in Texas, 96-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against Central Missouri. That was our second or third game of the year. I think it was only our second game. I don't know. But I remember I said that every single week. Mo West is the only team to have taken a kickoff back for a touchdown, and we were through the whole 2025 season. Outside linebacker, that is one guy that caught my eye. True freshman, plays outside linebacker, some nickel. He's from Sacramento, had 3 Division I offers of Arkansas State, Illinois State, UT Martin. Guy by the name of Tari Ransom, 6'2", 220. Obviously, when you see outside linebacker and nickel, you can do a lot with him. Just thoughts on getting him in the boat.
No, I truly believe that he's a Swiss Army knife, that he's going to be able to do a little bit of everything, not only be able to play in the secondary, be able to cover guys, but then also just come up to the line of scrimmage and be physical with tight ends. And when you see that body type, a 6'2", 220, we're not lying about that we might not be giving him all the weight that he actually has, and he's going to continue to grow as he gets here. That was one thing we talked about when we were here for the official visit, was what he needs to work on next was his pass rushing. And he's like, Coach, I'm going to start doing that as soon as I get home after you committed. And I know he's going to start working on that this offseason before he gets here this summer and just get things rolling. But very, very excited about him and what his future is going to be like at outside linebacker and an awesome class. I know Coach Johnson was talking about it, but not only the outsides but the inside linebackers are really, really excited about not only the high school guys coming in, but then the transfers as well. Just the upside of what they have, the experience that we brought in. We're really excited about those guys.
9 backers in this class. Roughly how many of them are you involved in recruiting there?
I would say almost every single one of them. Me and Coach Sanders, I mean, we not only share an office, but we share kind of recruiting tactics. We're texting, we're calling each other every night. So we had a good mix on getting in touch with guys, having a good relationship with them. And that way we knew when they came in, because we didn't know exactly you're going to be a Will, a Mike, a Rush, a Nickel, where they were going to fit. We wanted to make sure they knew who both of us were. So that way we were secure. They came in, we put them in a different spot. We might move them around through spring ball. But of those 9 guys, I mean, Brandon probably officially signed 4, and I officially signed 4, and we had one guy that was a crossover. But, no, we worked together really well with that, and it was really excited to get those guys locked up.
Well, Coach Fenwick put you on quite a pedestal this past year. He said that he has the best camp coordinator in all of football, and we got a full slate of camps and showcases going April through June. We published this schedule just the other day on GoGriffins.com, so go check it out. But there is a new website home for Griffin football camps. That website is Coach Fenwick Camps. That's Coach Fenwick, CAMPS.com, CoachFenwickCamps.com. It has anything from the Junior Day Showcase, the Specialist Showcase, Youth Camp, 8-man camp, 11-man camp, Elite Prospect Camp. So that's 2 months and change worth right there, Coach. Just thoughts on just putting that all together, and what do you guys get out of that? I mean, obviously it gets hot out there. I actually had the chance to watch one of your guys' camps last June, and man, yeah, it does get warm, but it's so fun, right? You get all this talent from all over the place, all over the country and the region. Just as a program, how much do we stand to gain from events like that?
We stand to gain a lot, and I will give first a shout out to Minley and his crew of getting that article out there. We talked about it as a staff, is that we've kind of started pushing the edge of the envelope of getting camp dates out early, and it's kind of now spread across the conference, where if you're not getting your camp dates out now, we're beating you, the team up north's beating you, Central Missouri's beating you, Washburn's beating you. They're getting those dates out early to kids. So we want to make sure that those guys get out and we get them conformed to people, and anywhere from the individual camp to the team camps. And then now Coach Fenwick having his own website as far as that and building that into our brand. Excited to get people to see that and how it develops guys, and getting them on campus is huge, because it's not only for recruiting, but then it's also just showing the brand. Getting the Missouri Western brand, getting the Griffin brand out there, and people to be able to see it in more than just one entity of just football. It's in different things, and the team camps are huge with that. I mean, we already have 10 teams for our 11-man team camp signed up. Yeah. And we're still almost 6 months away from that, but those teams are ready to come back, and new teams are coming into it. The 8-man team camp, I mean, that's something that's huge in Missouri, and we've grown that to last year we had 14 8-man team camp still there. And so we're going to
how many 8-man teams? Sorry?
We had 14.
14. Okay.
14
yeah.
8-man. That's hard to say. 14 8-man teams that were on campus, and those guys are staying overnight. And you got to imagine, whether it's 8-man or 11-man, we're going to have anywhere from 500 to 750 guys on campus. Not every single one of those guys are going to play college football. So then we're trying to build the brand of those guys. Okay, where are they going to go to school? They're going to go to Missouri Western because they've already been on campus. So not only building the football team and the football brand, the athletic brand, but then building the brand of just the university and getting guys to come to school. And it's been huge for us. And then you start talking about individual camps. Coach Gallo's in charge of that stuff. Man, we are rocketing with registration already for our junior day camp, which is going to be early on. We're trying to partner that with the spring practice, so guys come to practice, they see that, and then we do a camp right after it. So those guys are there on campus, seeing everything, doing a junior day, which everybody traditionally does, but now we're going to do a showcase with it. We've already got 20-plus guys signed up for that, and that's coming up before you know it. Wow. And getting those guys on campus and getting them recruited, getting them seen, getting them to see campus is huge for us.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, you think about, we're now the home of the Show Me Bowl State Championships, then the home of Chiefs Training Camp, second largest video board in NCAA D2. I mean, we got it pretty good here, don't we?
We do. It's easy things to sell, and we continue to get guys on campus, and they do a great job, and they love being around us. What I think is it helps, and Coach Fenwick talks about a lot, is we're very, very fortunate with our staff. Guys that understand not only football, but the relationship with the student athletes and building that with them and making them feel comfortable.
Well, it's going to be, I read, mid-60s this weekend. Now, I know we got Griffin baseball opening up at home this week, but are you going to grab your golf clubs? What do you think?
Well, Tommy, I know that you've subbed for our indoor golf league, so we need to get you on the golf course with me a little bit so we can work on your swing. But, yeah, absolutely. Let's get out this week and see what we can do before spring ball starts.
Well, I see Nursky and Thrasher here, and I've talked to Tom Buffington. I'm like, get me in y'all's simulator, and, like, I need a little help. I mean,
you do need some help with your golf swing, Tommy. I'll give you that. You're really good at this stuff on the radio, but your golf swing, man, we've got to work on that for sure.
Chose the next best thing, so it just doesn't pay quite as well. But that is Colin McQuillan, our special teams coordinator, outside linebackers coach, and also camp coordinator of Griffin football. Colin, always a pleasure. Would love to take my irons out with you anytime, so just let me know. But otherwise, have a great spring, have a great rest of the year, and can't wait for August. Let's do this thing.
No, I appreciate it, Tommy. Thank you so much for having us. Excited about it.
Yeah, Colin McQuillan, who was joined by Daughter Meyer up here earlier as well, one of a slew of our staff. Football staff, support staff, everyone here at Buffalo Wild Wings, our Gold Coaters, our fans, our supporters, head coaches of other sports here. What a treat to do this show for you all. And thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming out. Thanks to Jared and his staff at Buffalo Wild Wings for having us. If you're here at Buffalo Wild Wings and not affiliated with Mo West, thanks for putting up with yours truly over the last hour and 10 minutes. But that will do it. Again, thank you so much. All of your signing day information available online at gogriffins.com. A few of those dates I just want to throw out there for you. For football, spring practice will start March 23rd. Spring game, April the 24th. Season opening game, Thursday, August 27th against Augustana. Full schedule information available online at gogriffins.com. So make your plans to come out to Spratt Stadium. It's a good schedule. I mean, I really firmly believe that.